On the world news, President Trump and Joe Biden predict victory in U.S. presidential election. New 4-week lockdown comes into force in England. And Oregon becomes first U.S. state to decriminalize hard drugs. Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on Independent Television. I'm Philip Omogupo. We sincerely apologize for bringing you the news a little behind schedule. The federal government says funding has made to roll out 1 million free meters across the country. President Muhammadu Buhari disclosed this via his verified Twitter handle. He stated that electricity distribution companies will distribute the meters under the first phase of the presidential mass metering initiative. According to the president, deployment of meters has already started in parts of Kano, Kaduna, Lagos, and Abuja. The metering initiative will help the federal government fully meet over 6 million deficit of meters nationwide and will impact an estimated 30 million consumers. President Buhari pointed out that all meters under the program will be sourced from local manufacturers and in-country stock to create jobs. The Inspector General Police Mohammed Adamu has expressed optimism that the launch of community policing in the nation's security system would prevent any reoccurrence of civil unrest like the recent hijacked NSAS protest, which left property worth millions of naira destroyed nationwide. Mr. Adamu stated this when he visited Governor Godwin Obaseki in Government House, Benin City, after a tour of police formations vandalized during the protest. Government House correspondent Pageant brings details.
Mr. Adamu visited Benin City for the first time after the NSAS protests by youths who took to the streets to protest against police brutality, extrajudicial killings, and violations of human rights by the disbanded Police Special Anti-Robbery Squad, popularly known as SAS. The protest led to the burning of some police stations and destruction of police property. The Inspector General of Police, who said the incident has not in any way dampened the resolve of his men to arrest criminals, emphasized that his coming will encourage officers of Edo State Command to do their best in protecting the lives and property of Edo State residents. He said that his men were not overwhelmed but exercised restraint as a way of preventing fatalities.
As police officers, we know that we are specially trained to deal with unrest, to deal with civil disorder. And what happened the day our police stations were attacked, our officers were attacked, will not dampen our morale. It will not make us to shy away from our responsibilities. It has even gingered us to seek cooperation from members of the public so that we can occupy the public space instead of leaving it to criminals.
Welcoming the IGP, Governor Obaseki commended him for taking up the challenge to assist police officers to return to their duty posts, noting that his visit will further boost the morale of police personnel.
I understand very clearly your logic and rationale for community policing, and we will continue to work with you because that is the way to go. So we are very clear about your direction, and we want to assure you that in Edo State, and as long as I remain governor, we will continue to support the police.
Governor Obaseki called for thorough investigation into the prison break in Benin City and appealed for assistance in rearresting all inmates who escaped from the correctional facilities in Benin City.
We want to appeal that those break-ins should be thoroughly investigated. I'm sure you're picking up very vital information because we still have so many of those inmates at large, and we don't want them to spend Christmas with us. in the city. We want you to help us arrest them and get them back.
The governor is particularly pleased with the community policing initiative as he pledges support for its success. Patience Osaugiwa reporting.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, was in Benin City yesterday to assess the damage done to police facilities by hoodlums who hijacked the anti-SARS protest in the state. Crime correspondent Wellington Akodeja reports that the visit was also aimed at boosting the morale of police personnel in the state.
In Benin City, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, visited Ugbeku Police Station, St. Saviour, Dumes Road Police Division, and the Nigerian Correctional Facilities on Saple Road, Benin City. To assess the extent of damage by hoodlums who hijacked the End SARS protests. The police boss also visited the state police headquarters. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, thanked the police for their patience. Despite the provocation, he urged policemen to be civil and always protect and defend themselves from assault. IGP Adamu said all police officers who sustained injuries and those who lost their lives will be given automatic promotion to the next rank as a sign of encouragement from the force.
All those that were injured or they lost their lives, they are going to get promotion to the next level. In order to encourage us, Mr. President, 2 weeks ago, has approved the adjustment of our salaries to a higher grade for all officers.
In his address, Edo State Governor Mr. Godwin Obaseki commended the role the police played throughout the End SARS protests in the state. The state governor, represented by his deputy, Comrade Philip Shaibu, assured the police that the state government would take responsibility for the pains incurred by police personnel during the End SARS protests in the state.
Do we give up and allow them to continue to dominate the space? That's what the IG is telling us, that we should occupy the space because they have no space to occupy. The space belongs to us. Are you sure the space belongs to you? Yes. Because the IG is not hearing. The space belongs to the Nigerian police.
Earlier, the State Commissioner of Police, Johnson Kukumo, who itemized the losses of the command in the wake of the protests, thanked the Inspector General of Police for his visit to boost the morale of police personnel.
The state government has taken it upon itself to rebuild the damaged or graced police stations and provide patrol vehicles as necessary tools to occupy and dominate the security space as directed by the Inspector General of Police.
Senior officers from the police force headquarters, Abuja, accompanied the Inspector General of Police on the visit. Wellington Akodeja reporting.
The International Criminal Court has opened a preliminary inquiry into the demonstrations against harassment and brutality by the police in Nigeria tagged #EndSARS. The inquiry, the International Criminal Court said, will assess whether the legal criteria for opening an investigation under the Rome Statute are met. The development is coming after a number of civil society organizations threatened to report some heads of security agencies to the court over the conduct of their personnel during the anti-SARS, especially the shootings at the protesters at Lekki Tollgate in Lagos. Isama of Benin and Honorary Romania Consul to Edo and Delta States, His Excellency Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawa Igbenedion has been bestowed with an award of honor by the Rotary Club of Benin, Metropolitan District 9141, for his immense contributions to Rotary Nigeria. Deborah Gbefun reports that the Isama of Benin was also decorated as Polio Ambassador as part of activities to mark the club's 15th anniversary of World Polio Day celebration.
Members of the Rotary Club of Benin Metropolitan District District 9141, led by 8th resident, Rotarian hero Okolo Obina Emmanuel, were at the house of Igbenedion at number 1-13 Okada Avenue, GRA Benin City, to celebrate the club's 15th anniversary with the 8th Sama of Benin and honorary Romanian consul to Edo and Delta States, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Sawao Igbenedion, who is also a major donor to Rotary and a Paul Harris Fellow. In a remark, the first president, Rotary Club of Benin, Rotarian hero Okolo Obina Emmanuel, said the awardee and polio ambassador, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Sawao Igbenedion, and Esama of Benin has contributed immensely to Rotary Club and in the fight against polio in Nigeria.
Polio ambassador, our benefactor, the father of all Rotarians here in Benin City, District 9141. Nigeria, the father of humanitarian service, one man who preaches what he practices, one man who is a giver and a polio fighter. Please put your hands together for our father.
High point of the ceremony was the decoration of an elated Esama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Sawao Igbenedion, as polio ambassador in honor of his huge contributions to Rotary International. Former Rotary President, Benin Metropolitan District 9141, Rotarian Nusa Edo Osaigi, who represented the district governor, decorated the Esama of Benin in a colorful event.
Honor you with this award on their 15th anniversary ceremony. Congratulations, Fino. Congratulations,
Members of the Rotary Club of Benin Metropolitan District 9141 also caused the Rotary Club's 15th anniversary cake.
This summer is very legendary in terms of humanitarian activities, and it was necessary for this summer to be honored this afternoon.
There's no better way to celebrate it than celebrating it with the greatest summer of the Benin Kingdom, Gabriel Sawao Igbenedion, who is a major donor to Rotary, a benefactor, and a polio fighter, a polio ambassador.
Today is a very unique day because we came to visit a very important Rotarian, a polio ambassador, a man who has supported Rotary substantially.
We are indeed grateful to our father, our benefactor, a philanthropist, one man who is always there to help the poor, one man who has always supported the cause of Rotary.
Esama of Benin is one of us and is ambassador, so he's a polo fighter. We thank God for his life.
Esama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Sawao Igbenedion, in his usual magnanimity, hosted the visitors to a lavish reception. Deborah Ogbefon reporting.
The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, has congratulated Mr. Adeoye Owolewa after he became the first Nigeria-born man to win a seat in the United States House of Representatives. Mr. Owolewa, who hails from Omaro in Kwara State, claimed victory in the U.S. Congress election for the District of Columbia. Mr. Dare, in a tweet, stated that in view of Mr. Owolewa's contributions and sacrifices, he is elated for becoming America's first Nigerian-American congressman. Mr. Owolewa pledged to fight for District of Columbia statehood and bring the much-needed values to the lawmaking process. You're watching the World News on Independent Television. Still to come, President Trump and Joe Biden predict victory in U.S. presidential election. Details after the break. Thank you for staying tuned. Moving on, Donald Trump and Joe Biden each claim to be ahead in the U.S. presidential election, even as the final outcome hangs on a thin edge and both sides ramp up for legal action. The Trump campaign is challenging vote counts in the key states of Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Rosalind Evorame has details.
All three of these states would hand Mr. Biden victory. Democratic candidate Mr. Biden said he's on course to defeat Republican Mr. Trump.
Here, the people rule. Power can't be taken or asserted. It flows from the people. And it's their will that determines who will be the President of the United States, and their will alone.
Overall turnout in Tuesday's election was projected to be the highest in 120 years at 66.9%. Mr. Biden had the support of 70.5 million voters, the most won by any presidential candidate ever. Mr. Trump has pulled in 67.2 million votes, 4 million more than he gained in 2016. The election race was dominated by coronavirus pandemic, which hit a new record rate of 103,000 daily cases in the U.S. Meanwhile, in Michigan, police were called to guard the doors to a vote counting facility as some protesters outside demanded access to monitor the process. According to reports, there are already about 200 people observing the vote inside the building. Officials were seen covering up the windows to the county center where postal ballots were being arranged. Rosalind Evorame reporting.
Meanwhile, the Trump campaign has filed 2 lawsuits in Pennsylvania to halt all vote counting until there is meaningful transparency. The president has a 3-point lead in the Keystone state, but many thousands of votes remain to be counted. His campaign team said Mr. Trump is also suing Georgia to halt the vote count. They're saying that a Republican poll observer in the southern state had witnessed 53 late absentee ballots being illegally added to a pile of votes in Chatham County.
We're going to win Pennsylvania, but they're trying to cheat us out of it because they know it's their only path to victory. They know it's the only path to victory. And so we came here today, we met with all our lawyers. We are going to file suit in Pennsylvania. God bless the USA.
Republican donors to help fund the legal challenges. Democrats are rapidly losing hope of gaining control of the U.S. Senate after underperforming in key states. Controlling the Senate would have allowed them to either obstruct or push through the next president's agenda. The party had high hopes of gaining the 4 necessary seats in Congress upper chamber, but many Republican incumbents held their seats. The Democrats are projected to retain their majority in the lower chamber, the House, but with some key losses. With many votes still to be counted, the final outcome for both houses may not be known for some time. Among the disappointments for the Democrats was the fight for the seat in Maine, where Republican incumbent Susan Collins staved off a fierce challenge from Democrat Sarah Gideon. Of the 35 Senate seats up for grabs, 23 are Republican-held, while 12 are Democrats. So far, Democrats have managed a net gain of 1 seat in the Senate election. There are now more than 100,000 new cases of coronavirus in the U.S. recorded on Wednesday. Rosalind Evorame reports that more than 1,100 deaths linked to coronavirus were also recorded.
The figure reported by the COVID tracking project is accompanied by a steep increase in hospital admissions, suggesting that it is not solely due to increased testing. The COVID crisis is being overshadowed by tensions over vote counting in the fourth aftermath of the U.S. election. More than 50,000 people across the U.S. are currently in hospital with coronavirus, an increase of about 64% from early October. Average daily death rates in the country have also been increasing again, although they are still lower than at the start of the pandemic. With almost 9.5 million total coronavirus infection and more than 233,000 deaths, the U.S. has both the highest number of cases and the highest total death toll in the world. Rosalind Evorame reporting.
A new 4-week lockdown has begun in England, with people told to stay at home and non-essential shops, pubs and gyms ordered to close. The new rules ban households from mixing indoors or in private gardens unless in a support bubble. Rosalind Evorame completes the story.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that the lockdown will expire automatically in 2nd December. As the new rules came into force, the head of the Confederation of British Industry called for an urgent extension of the government's furlough scheme, which pays 80% of workers' wages until the spring to prevent job losses. Chancellor Rishi Sunak is said to make a statement in the House of Commons outlining what economic support will be available to businesses and jobs during the lockdown. He's expected to confirm employees on furlough who receive 80% of their salaries if their workplaces have been shut down, and likely to guarantee furlough funding for Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland if the decentralized administration bring in their own lockdowns. Police have warned that anyone who violates the lockdown rules will face stiff fines. Meanwhile, the Bank of England is to release an extra £150 billion into the economy amid a resurgence in COVID-19 cases. It has left interest rates on hold at a record low of 0.1%. Rosalind Evorame reporting.
Indonesia has fallen into its first recession in 22 years as the coronavirus pandemic continues to take its toll. Southeast Asia's biggest economy saw growth fall 3.49% in the third quarter of the year compared to the same period in 2019, following a fall of 5.32% in the second quarter of 2020. This has pushed Indonesia into a recession. The last time this happened was during the 1998 Asian financial crisis. Authorities in Indonesia have predicted that 3.5 million people could lose their jobs due to the coronavirus downturn. Indonesia has the highest coronavirus infection rate in the region. Austria's interior minister has admitted that a warning from Slovakia last summer about a gunman who went on the rampage in the center of Vienna was not followed up. Police in Slovakia revealed they had tipped off Austrian authorities about suspects from Austria trying to buy ammunition in July. Reports suggest the trip to buy bullets failed as the gunman had no license. It had also emerged he was released early from a jail sentence last December for trying to join jihadists in Syria. Asked about the revelations on Wednesday, Austrian Interior Minister Karl Nehammer said the information had been investigated by the BVT Domestic Intelligence Agency, but no further action had been taken. Oregon has become the first U.S. state to decriminalize the possession of hard drugs, including cocaine and heroin. Oregon also becomes the first state to legalize the therapeutic use of hallucinogen mushrooms. People caught with small amounts of drugs for personal use will now have to pay a $100 fine or have a health check at an addiction recovery center. The new measures were approved by a public vote as part of a nationwide push to relax drug laws. Elsewhere, voters in Arizona, New Jersey, Montana, and South Dakota passed a ballot to legalize marijuana. They join 11 other states and the District of Columbia, which have already given the green light to the recreational adult use of cannabis, a drug that is still prohibited on a federal level. An online petition by former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd calling for an inquiry into Rupert Murdoch's media dominance has got a record number of signatures. More than 500,000 Australians have signed a petition to Parliament since it was launched 3 weeks ago. News Corp Australia controls 70% of local newspaper circulation. Mr. Murdoch has now commented on the petition. The petition will likely be presented to Parliament but is not obligated to act on it. Mr. Rudd, who was a Labour Prime Minister from 2007 to 2010 and again in 2013, has been a frequent critic of Mr. Murdoch and his newspapers, which advocated against his re-election. Like Mr. Murdoch, News Corp has not responded to the public petition and have ignored it in their news coverage. To end the World News and Independent Television, a look again at the top stories where we brought you that Donald Trump and Joe Biden each claimed to be ahead in the U.S. presidential election, even as the final outcome hangs on a thin edge and both sides ramp up for legal action. We also brought you the story that a new 4-week lockdown has begun in England, with people told to stay at home and non-essential shops, pubs and gyms ordered to close. And finally, Oregon has become the first U.S. state to decriminalize the possession of hard drugs, including cocaine and heroin. And that's the size of the world news on ITV. I'm Philip Omo-Gupon. Good afternoon.
Independent television, certainly the best.
From the stables of independent television and radio comes the 2020 Miss ITV Radio Beauty Pageant, tagged the Triple Header Edition. Are you beautiful, intelligent, talented, bold or plus size, and you've got what it takes to be the next beauty queen? Then go get your forms now to contest for any of the following: Miss ITV Hot Legs Beauty Pageant or Miss ITV Bold and Fabulous Beauty Pageant for plus size ladies, or ITV Radio Fashion on the Runway. Oh yes, one stage, 3 events and unforgettable moments with mouth-watering cash prizes to be won, plus a 1-year modeling contract. Pick your form today at just 5,000 Naira from the following venues: ITV Radio Commercial Office at Glass House, Airport Road, Benin City, or ITV Radio Communications Village, Ikosa Oluku, or Purely Events Multimedia at number 10 Ehaipen Street off Ekewa Road, Benin City. All prospective contestants must be 18 to 26 years old. Audition holds on the 27th of November 2020. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Venue Exquisite Home 2, Ihama Road, GRA, Benin City. Grand finale Sunday 20th December 2020. Please note, all NCDC COVID-19 protocols must be strictly adhered to. This event is supported by Osumpec Oil opposite S&T Barracks, Isio, Benin City, where 1 liter of fuel is 1 liter. Fortune Skin Care, number 79 Ihama Road, Benin City. Samutaka Generators and Electronics, 66 Wire Road, Benin City. Global Foods and Cinemas, 59 Urubi, Benin City. Legend Preparatory International School, offering admission into nursery, primary and secondary schools. Number 31 A and B, First Uzama, Artillery Road, off Erunse Road, off Siloko Road, Benin City. Friday Commercial Engineering Work, installation of cold rooms, mortuary rooms, ice block machines, blood bank, central ACs import, manufacturer's rep and repairs of chillers and refrigerators. Head office 95 First East Circular Road, Benin City, or branch office 79 Goldie Street, Calabar. For more information, please call 0805 673 3170, 0805 078 9600, or 0701 438 2779. ITV Radio Beauty Pageant Triple Header Edition with unforgettable moments.
When I was younger, a lot of things were different. Unfortunately, most of the differences I see now are heartbreaking and are not good at all.
Before now, men were strong, protectors of the weak, fathers, brothers, lovers, sons. Their mere presence guaranteed the safety of women and children.
But what do we have now?
Men harassing and raping women.
Men sexually abusing little girls.
Men battering and killing their wives.
Any form of sexual assault, be it rape or pedophilia, is a killer of human self-esteem.
Women should stop dying in silence. Speak up! The rapist should be stigmatized, not the victim.
Rape. I dread the sound of that word. I think death sentence should be the consequence of such a terrible act.
And you mothers, build trust and confidence in our children. Believe them when they report and take necessary action.
Talking of mothers, before now, women were virtuous. They were mothers, sisters, lovers and daughters, nurturing, counseling and supporting their men folks.
But now, women are trafficking female children for money.
Women are stabbing and cutting off the genitals of their men.
All this must stop, and it must stop now.
Real men don't rape, molest or abuse women and children. It's inhuman, it's barbaric, it's unacceptable. Let real